Hello everyone, so today we're going to go over how to calculate sales tax. And this is very important since we all pay taxes and we need to know how our money gets calculated in order to determine how much taxes we're going to pay on a certain item. So sales tax and discount, first one being sales tax, it's just an additional amount of money that is charged on items that people buy. And the total cost of the regular price is added with the sales tax to give us our grand total. So we have our subtotal, what it's worth, the taxes are added to it, and then we have the grand total, which is called the sales tax. With a price is a grand total. Then we have something called discount. The discount by which the regular price of an item is reduced. The sale price is the regular price minus the discount. So when you go to a store, you'll see 50% off. So that's a discount. And it's subtracted from the item's price to give us something called the sale price. All right, so let's go ahead and look at taxes. So why is it that we have to pay taxes? That's a big question. And this is something all of you guys will eventually be doing and maybe have been doing so far when you bought individual items. So you pay taxes to support local, state, and the federal government. And they receive this money and they use this money to provide for the country, the city, the community, things like police officers, ambulances, to take care of the roads, fix the roads, all that stuff that is outside of your house. All that stuff that gets cleaned up, trash cans, everything, that needs to get paid somehow, and it comes from taxes. All right, so let's go ahead and move on. So for example, California sales tax is 7.5%. Los Angeles sales tax is 1.5%. Sometimes there's an additional city tax, but overall, we have a tax rate of 9%. So Los Angeles, you would pay 9% on any item that is taxable. Other cities have higher sales tax, so you might pay a little bit more than 9%. Other cities have lower sales tax than Los Angeles, so it might be lower than 9%. And we're going to be looking at sales tax a little later in our performance test specifically. All right, so let's see, how do we calculate sales tax? There are two methods. Method number one, the sales tax is calculated by multiplying the price of the item by the sales tax rate. We already kind of did it when we did percent of a number. And then we just take that price and we add it back in, that tax price, and we add it back to the original price. That's number two. So figure out the sales tax, add it to the original price. 2 steps. Method number two is combines both steps in one. So the total price, you calculate it by multiplying the price of the item by 100 plus the tax rate, since that includes the sales tax. That one's worded a little weirdly. It'll make more sense when we actually do it. So let's go ahead and see how that works. All right, so let's go ahead and calculate the sales tax on example number one. We'll do method one. So on your handout, you see method one, method two. Make sure you put it on the side with method one. So let's say we have some shoes. They cost $100, and the tax rate is 7%. So we first want to calculate the tax. So we take our original price, which is $100, and we're going to multiply it by 0.07. Remember, single-digit numbers have the 0.07 when converted to a decimal. This is going to be $7. So the tax is $7, and then we have to take our tax and add it back to the original price. So 100 plus 7. Again, this is pretty easy. I'm writing it out, and this is going to be the new, that's not 100. That should be 107. And that's going to be the new price. This is going to be the total right here. So the first one on the left is the tax, is $7. The total price for the shoes after taxes is going to be 107. So this is method one. Figure out the tax, add it back into the price. What about method number two? So method number two does the multiplying and the adding all together in one step. So there you see it again in the short version. All right, what about method number two? Let's go ahead and see that. All right, so method number two, you multiply it by the price plus 100. So we're going to be adding 100 to the percent. So here we have 100. And we're going to add 7% to that. So you're really paying 100% of the price plus an additional 7%, which is 107. So let's go ahead and figure out how that works. So method two, so this goes on the right on your handout. You take your price, $100, and you're going to multiply it by 107%. Reason why, again, 100 full price plus the 7 additional percent in tax is 107. I'm going to convert this to a decimal, which multiplies by 1.07, and that also gives me $107 as my total. So that's the second method. I think first method makes more sense for most people in their head because I just figure out the tax, then add it in, that's my total. Whereas this one takes care of both, so it might not be as easy to see it, but it's actually a nicer way to do it. That's my preferable method, but again, both methods work perfectly fine. It's just a matter of choice. You'll have the choice to do whichever one you want. All right, let's go on to number 3. All right, so we just saw. All right, so this is example number 2, method 1. So at this point, you can choose to copy this answer or choose the method number 2 answer. So I'm just going to go ahead and do both. So let's go ahead and look at this one. So sales tax in Ohio is 8.5%. You're buying a new car for $20,000. And what will be the total cost of the car? So we're going to get our price. And we're going to multiply it by the percent, 8.5. Remember, 8.5. You're going to move the decimal twice. So you're going to drop a 0. So single-digit numbers always have that extra 0 on them from moving the decimal twice. We're going to go ahead and multiply this. We get $1,700, so $1,700. This is the tax right here. Now we're going to take the taxes and add it back to the original price because we want to figure out the total cost. So we're taking $20,000, and we're going to add the $1,700 to it, which gives us $21,700 for the total price. So again, find the tax, add it back to the original price. Now, if you prefer to do method number 2, I'm going to do the same problem with method number 2. It's the same idea. So again, you can choose to copy this one down, or you can just skip this part and wait till it moves ahead. So you can do $20,000 again. But this time, we're going to be paying 100 plus 8.5, so 108.5%. Move the decimal twice. You're going to multiply by 1.085. And when you multiply these numbers, you would get the same exact answer, 21,700. So both methods work. It's just a matter of choice. Only difference is this one adds in the number back for you. All right, let's go ahead and move on to the next one. All right, example number 3. A family purchased a DVD player for $200. The sales tax rate was 7%. What was the total cost of the purchase? So again, you're going to have the option of doing method 1 or method 2. You don't have to copy both unless you want to. So general idea is method 1. We are going to be going ahead and multiplying, figuring out the tax, adding it back in. So 200 times, again, 7 is not 7, 0, 7, single digit number. And then we add the price back in. So 200 times 0.07 is going to give me $14 of tax. And that's what I'm going to add back in for 214 total. All right, that's method number 1. Method number 2, we just take our $200 and we multiply it by 100 plus 7, which is 107%. Move the decimal twice, 1.07. This will give us the same final answer of $214. Again, same idea, just 2 different methods of doing it, just preference. All right, example number 4. A family purchased a pool table for $825. Tax rate is 6%. What's the total cost? I'm just going to do, let's say this one. Let's do method number 1 for this one. So I'm just going to do that one, $825 times 0.06. And take my $825, and I'm going to add the taxes. So what is $825 times 0.06? So I get 49.5 in the calculator, but that's money. We're talking about double 2 decimal places, so it's 49.50. So I add 49.50 to my price. Make sure you line up your decimals and everything works out nicely. So we should get 874. This is my tax here, and this is my total. 874 and 50 cents is the final price for this pool table. All right, let's go on to number 5. So we're taking you and a friend go to lunch. Check is $24.85. Figure out how much you should tip if you want to leave a 15% tip to your waiter. So again, customary to tip 15% or higher when you go to a restaurant. And you want to make sure you know how to calculate that amount. So let's go ahead and figure out how to do that. Here we're not looking for a total. All we want is just the tip amount, and that's just the percent of 24.85. That is 15% of that. So all we need to do is multiply for this one. We don't have to do any adding back. So here we have 24.85 times 0.15. When I multiply these out, I get 3.7275. Because we're talking about money, we need to round this off to the hundreds. Money is in 2 decimal places. So in this case, we are going to be leaving a $3.73. It rounds up. Tip on the amount. So we have to leave $3.73 minimum if we want to leave 15%. And in this case, we don't add it back in, but if we were asked to find the total amount paid, we would add the $3.73 to the original price of $24.85. But we're just being asked to figure out how much to leave for the tip. All right, let's move on to our final question. There it is again. All right, so last one. You and a friend go to lunch, and I believe this is the same one. Oh no, it's a different one. You and a friend go to lunch. The check comes out to $44.65. The tax is 9%, and you want to leave a tip of 20%. What will the total be? So in this case, we're figuring out both the tax, adding it back in, then the tip, and adding that back in. So it's like a double problem in this case, so we got to be very careful as we work this one out. So let's go ahead and figure that out. So we start off with $44.65. We're going to multiply by 0.09. That's my tax value. Oops, let's try that again. Here we go. And that's going to end up being $4 because we're rounding, and 2 cents. So this is going to be my tax because it's 9% here. Now we need to leave the tip of 20%. So we want to make sure we're adding that back in and figuring it out. So I'm going to take my amount of 44.65. I'm going to add in my my tax. That's going to be $48.67. Now I'm going to take that amount and figure out the tip of 20%. So I'm going to repeat what I just did on the first one, times 0.20, or 0.2 if you prefer. So we're going to take our 48.67 and multiply it by 0.20. That gives me 9.734. I'm going to round this off. That's just going to be 9.73. And this right here is my tip amount. I'm going to add it to my last price, which was $48.67. I'm going to add the $9.73 tip to that. So I'm going to say 9.73 plus 48.67. That's going to give me $58.40. So this right here is my final answer. So what will be the total? The total will be the $58.40. So just got to be careful because it's a double problem here. You first find the tax like we did on the previous problems, and then you have to do an additional per 20% tip. All right, let's go ahead and move on. I believe this is the last one. We just went over all of this. All right, that's pretty much it. So now it's your turn to go ahead and start the practice problem. So go ahead and work on pages 7 through 10, I believe, on your packet. So good luck and get started.